Pro boxing fans, we are here in Riyadh. Dave Coldwell finally made your way to Riyadh, and you know what? It was a good week, and then obviously, yesterday was absolutely manic.
While we was in the air, we was on the plane, and somebody got it on the phone that first Dubois was out. It was like, oh, when you just gutted, you have that sinking feeling, and about 10 minutes later, Bakole's in. It was like nuts on the plane, honestly. So I can't imagine what it was like here. I seen the footage of when Parker was told. I was like, oh mate, nuts, absolutely nuts.
It was crazy because we were all here, and then the news broke and was like, oh man. And people were like, okay, all these names started to pop out: Bakole, David Adelaide, and then like my colleague texted me, he's like, mate, Bakole and Parker's confirmed, and I was like, what? And you just think, what? If anyone's going to make a move like that, it's Turki Al-Sheikh is going to make something so quickly happen, and it's just adds to the excitement right now.
Yeah, it's changed the game. I mean, we've been saying it since he's come on board onto the sport, but to pull something like that off, that is extra, because the magnitude of the show, the magnitude of that fight on the show, and then to get an opponent of the caliber of Martin Bakole to step in on 2 days' notice, incredible, really is.
Let's talk about the fight, because it adds a whole different level to it, because it's not even that, it's a different style for Jose Parker to deal with. But then you've also got to see, is Martin Bakole fit enough? There's all these questions right now. Where are you in regards to analysing this fight?
It's a strange one, because in my head I just keep thinking it's a crazy fight to take on Bakole's part, because he's got eliminated for the world title lined up, right? So that's guaranteed. And it's a fight he should win, let's be honest, he's a big favourite. So you would expect to give that up, to take a fight at 2 days' notice against the calibre of Joseph Parker, who's on the run that Parker's on, boxing the best fights of his life. It's a big ask on a couple of days' notice. And let's not forget as well, he's still in air now as we're talking, so he's not gonna land until early hours of the morning of the day of the fight, which is crazy. So he must know something that we don't. In my head, I'm thinking, is he one of these fighters that don't need to train athletically in order to get in there and do what he needs to do? What I mean by that, those fighters like James Toney, and even before that, a lot of fighters, they didn't do much S&C or like training, athletic training. They sparred round after round after round after, and they got their fitness and conditioning from sparring. I wonder if Bakole is one of those sort of fighters, because let's be honest, to look at him, he's never going to be like a chiseled sort of athletic sort of heavyweight, but he's a big, powerful, and he has got a good volume of work rate of his punches, and he whips the shots in. It's not like he loads his punches. He's relaxed, he's loose. So he'll have an element of fitness there, punching fitness and conditioning. We're looking at him and saying, he's probably only got 4 rounds in the bank. I think he probably thinks that he's got 8 rounds in the bank. And I think him and Billy Nelson think, in those 8 rounds, you don't actually necessarily have to get rid of Parker in those 8 rounds. What you have to do is to grind Parker down so his fitness levels and stamina drops, so you're on an even sort of par. And then that last third of the fight, then it becomes interesting as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think maybe they feel as though they've probably got more than 4 rounds in the tank. I don't think they'd have took it if they just feel they've got 4 rounds in the tank. But by right, you would expect somebody that's coming in at 2 days' notice, that's not got, not in camp and lying on a beach in Congo, you would expect him to have 4 rounds in the tank.
I do want to ask you, with Bakole, obviously the only loss that he's had is to Michael Hunter. Is there any similarities between Michael Hunter and Jose Parker? When I look at it, can be, right?
Can be 100%, because Parker knows how to move. He knows how to box and fiddle his way out. He knows how to nullify. He's got somebody in the corner that'll give him the right instructions and knows how to tap into his mindset to ride out the tough moments, the uncomfortable moments. So yeah, I can see that's, if you're Parker, you're not standing in front of him, and the fight that we've seen him get beaten is a guy that's a bit tricky and isn't going to stand right in front of you. So it's going to be interesting.
I do want to talk about the main event before I let you go. Artur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol. Last time I was here and I got to watch that fight, Eddie Hearn was shouting robbery, and when I talked to other fighters, they were saying Beterbiev won it, which showed how close that fight was.
Oh, yeah.
This time around, Artur Beterbiev's obviously had more time with his injury. He came off an injury, did a bit of surgery for that. Dmitry Bivol's had time to reflect on that loss and make adjustments if needed too. What happens in this fight, Dave?
Mate, it's such a great fight. The first fight going into, I felt that Bivol would win it. I felt on the night Bivol did nick it, but it weren't a robbery. It was a close fight. It could have gone either way. It's one of those fights. For this one, I'm going to refer back to the first. After 5 rounds, I was a bit shocked and surprised that Beterbiev hadn't gone to the body as I expected him to. I thought he was just going to have an assault to the body to take away Bivol's sharpness and legs and mobility. But he didn't until about halfway, 7 rounds in, something like that, 7, 8 rounds in, then he started targeting the body, and then for the last couple of rounds, he started dragging Bivol into a dogfight. And you saw then it was hard for Bivol those last couple of rounds, but he's only got a couple of rounds, 2 or 3 rounds to get through. I think a key point that Beterbiev's going to have been doing is working on making sure he goes to the body earlier, because if he can drag Bivol into a fight earlier and he's got longer to endure, then that swings things into Beterbiev's favour quite significantly for me. You mentioned the knee injury. I think maybe a reason for that, his legs probably weren't as conditioned, weren't as sharp to be able to cut off the ring as quick as what he'd like to. I watched a bit of his training footage for this fight. His legs look good. And I think he's going to be trapping and cutting the exits off as quick as he can this time round.
I did ask him about that. That was one of the first questions I asked him. You were coming off an injury. You had to do, you had to do sort of rehab to your legs. Did you feel your legs were heavy initially? And he said, yeah, I felt a little bit, but he didn't want to give too much away. He's a warrior. He doesn't like to sort of have excuses. For this fight, though, Dmitry Bivol lost the last couple of rounds, which is the championship rounds, which is why, if anyone was going to go towards Beterbiev, that's the reason why. For this fight, how does Bivol ensure them last few rounds when Beterbiev comes on strong, that he ensures that doesn't happen?
Well, I think we've seen interviews where Bivol spoke about he accepts a loss, he's not making excuses, he feels he must do better, he feels he must do more punching, more getting off quicker, staying out of his way, just working more. Now, I feel as though I've mentioned what I thought Beterbiev will look at when he looks at VT. I think with Bivol, the psychology of you're going in with a monster, you're going with somebody that's got this reputation, knocking everybody out, phenomenally strong, the pressure he puts on you, the power that he possesses. Once you've been in there, you've tasted it, and Bivol thinks, okay, well, hang on a minute. In a couple of exchanges, I actually came off better, shocked quite a few people, maybe perhaps himself. It's taken the punches. Once you've taken the punches, you've got a taste for it, you understand that you can gauge their power. Maybe now it feels, do you know what, I can do more because I don't have to be as intent on getting out of the way too quick. So that'll allow him to be more confident, make him more confident, and maybe do more. But does that mean that he holds his feet a little bit too long and gets wrapped up in it and gets caught with more shots from Beterbiev downstairs that chip away and grind you? Do you know what I mean? It can work both ways, that.
I spoke to Teddy Atlas about this, and he's got a very good knowledge of the game, and he felt like instead of throwing 4 punches, he threw 5 punches. He was in there for way too long.
But that's what I'm saying is, when Bivol's talking more, he can't allow himself to have that danger spot where he's doing more, so he's holding his feet longer. The last thing you want to do with Beterbiev is to hold your feet, especially if Beterbiev is of mind this time to be aiming here and here rather than just chasing there in the early rounds, because then if he's touching you with those heavy hands there, it's slowing you down, and you are going to be heavier legged quicker in the fight rather than just the last couple of rounds. So that's what I'm saying is, if Beterbiev wants to do more, it could work out if Bivol wants to do more, it could work out in Beterbiev's favour.
Final one before I let you go. Apart from the top 2 fights, which fights are you looking forward to the most? I know it's a tough question because they're all absolutely fantastic.
Easy question for me.
Go on then.
The fight from when it got announced, I went, wow. Ortiz versus Madrimov. What a fight. What a fight. And do you know what? The funny thing is, even though it's such a brilliant matchup, that's the one fight on the bill where I haven't swayed. Every other fight, I've swayed who I think is going to win. I've been set on Madrimov right from the start, and I really do think Madrimov wins the fight. I had a tiny wobble when I saw him face to face, and I saw the size difference. But I still think Madrimov's ability, his legs, his IQ, I think he beats him. I really do. It's going to be a great fight, but I do think Madrimov wins the fight.
Cool. We're going to wait for the rain to kick off very soon, and then let's see what happens, mate. Tomorrow's going to be a fantastic card. And then,
Tomorrow's Christmas.
Tomorrow is Christmas for us boxing fans, for sure. Dave Coldwell, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much.